Joe Abercrombie, The Blade Itself, First Law trilogy. This is the first book. I've read it. I'm going to review it for you. And it's a grimdark book, humoristic grimdark, gritty, and it's very violent. Grimdark to me has been something I've avoided because I've read a lot about it, and from what I've read, it's dystopian, depressive, no hope, no heroes, a lot of violence, a lot of scenes where you linger, where the author linger, and you really get to experience the violent scenes. With that said, my last book of The Fallen here, for example, is no walk in the park. There is a lot of grim and dark scenes. Still, this is something different. And I would say that the book is very character driven. You get to follow a number of characters. I will speak about 2 or maybe 3 characters briefly. And the book is not so much lore driven. For me, being a lore guy, that was something new to me, because you basically get to know a number of characters in this world. And also the world is a bit difficult to get hold of. It's a Game of Thrones-esque like world, medieval Europe, you'd say. You don't really get a picture of where it is and how it feels, but you have a union in the center where most of the action takes place, in the union. And you also have a kingdom or empire to the north, and you have a empire to the south called the Gurkish Empire, and the north, you have the north, they call it. You also have some regions or states that are mentioned in the book, like Angland and Starik Land, for example. Tond, I think, is mentioned too. And through the characters, you hear these the names of the regions. You get to know some of the magic in this world, for example. You get to know some of the rumors in this world. But there is no lore dumps. And there is no map in the book, and there is no dramatis personae in the book, for example. So you just get to know the characters here. And a few of the characters I would like to mention, and it's Logan Ninefingers. He's from the north. A warrior or barbaric guy. He's on a journey. We are not sure. We are not sure when it begins where he's heading to, and he's in the first chapter hunted by some kind of I don't know, orc-like creatures, maybe monsters called Shanka. That's no spoiler, by the way. So it's in the first chapter. You are thrown into the scene where he is hunted by these monsters, you could say. He is quite intelligent but bitter man. Not sure about where he's heading. He's obviously hunted, so that is the thing we know in the beginning. We also get to follow another person called Glokta. He's crippled and he's an inquisitor in this union, this region called the Union. And he's based in the city of Adwa, where most of the action takes place. And he's an inquisitor for the leader, or the leaders of this union. And he's an inquisitor, he's a torturer, and many of the scenes, especially in the beginning with him, is quite challenging, maybe trigger-like for some of you. I read them slowly and also took a lot of time to get through the scenes in the beginning, but I would say it's worth it. One of the things that are interesting with this book is that each character has quite not all of them, but many of them has an extensive inner dialogue or monologue. And even though we read about atrocities and violence and everything like that, their own monologue is usually very humoristic. So it's kind of a soft landing, you could say. So you read about violent scenes and then you hear the individuals thinking of what they are doing. Glokta, for example, he's probably not sure if he wants to be where he is. And that goes for all of characters. I think all of the characters are very, very flawed and damaged, I would say. They are damaged, have low self-esteem. They seem to have either lost something or they want to gain something in form of, for example, reputation. They are not satisfied where they are in the world. And this world and the Blade itself is a very, very violent world. It has a lot of things that I would say is, a dysfunctional world. There is a lot of violence, corruption, backstabbing, and you can't rely on each other here. It's, I would say that it's quite a hopeless world in many ways. So still, I think that's maybe the charm of this book. The characters try to find some kind of hope in this hopeless world where things are very, very cynical. And the union where the action takes place is a place where there's a lot of power struggle and manipulation is there between people, and there is also warmongering and ambition to gain power. And the union has many different councils, for example, and within these councils there are power struggles, what to do. As I said, the lore is very weak, so as I don't want to spoil too much here because it's easy maybe to do that. And I think when you read the characters, Abercrombie slowly opens up the lore, slowly, but the lore is not the focus here. But through the characters and through their personalities, which are very strong, you will get a sense of the lore and their incitements and motivations. So Logan Nine Fingers is one character I liked, I could say that, I'm not sure. I enjoyed following him. Glokta, even though I was a bit scared for him in the beginning, I must say, I enjoyed him. He has a great sense of humor, I would say. And of course, humor is a way to tackle a tough world, isn't it? So, of course, in the real world as well, humor is a way to tackle a world that is not positive. And we have, unfortunately, a world today, and we have had it for decades and millennia, I suppose, but there is a lot of horrible things happening. So humor is a way to tackle that. Another person we get to follow is Giselle. He's a noble person. He practices in sword fighting. We'll get to follow his practice and what he wants to do. He has a lot of low self-esteem in relation to his family members, and I think want to compensate for that in different ways. He's described by others, I've read other reviews, as a very unpleasant guy. Maybe he is, because he's very arrogant, but I think he is very interesting to follow his journey in the book. And when we start to read the book, you follow each person individually, and then they come together. They will all be gathered in the city of Adwa, but their journey starts in different parts in the Abercrombie universe, either in the Union or North or South. What can you say more? Yeah, I was you know, when I started the book, I had the idea of, you know, I will read this book and maybe no more by Abercrombie. I will just try to read this Grimdark, so I've read it. But I think the book is very interesting and you can learn a lot from the struggles. So I will continue to read the next book before they are hanged. I will take a break, but I will continue because I'm curious what happens and what happens in a book when an author is so character focused. How does he involve and connect the characters' stories to the plot later on, or will he ever do that? I don't know. I also saw an interview with Abercrombie, and he said that he, as I interpreted him, he wanted to write honestly in the meaning of, you know, describe what actually happens in a war or in a fighting scene, or torture and things are described in other books, for example in Grace of Kings, but there it's done in a poetic way. Maybe that's not so realistic if we should criticize that in any way. I think you can write about these things that happen in war in many different ways, and there is no way of doing it wrong, but Abercrombie obviously want to describe it as it feels. It's dirty, gritty, violent, bloody, you know, gory, all of this. I think that's he has a point, but there is also a point, I must add, that the whole world is not grimdark, not our world. I don't think the imaginative world is that either. So we have dystopian people, and we have hopeful people, we have compassionate people, we have a lot of different people. So in this, The Blade itself, we get a picture of these grimdark people and their view of the world. Still, I must say that I think the first 150 pages was very grimdark, but then I think it eased up a bit, especially in the middle of the book. I didn't think it was so scary, because it's grimdark to read. And then of course in the end, the ending is dramatic, of course, as all books have dramatic endings. It's obviously a prologue to what come in the next books. So with that said, I would recommend you to read the book. Trigger warning if you are sensitive to violence, things like that. But if you are maybe like me, a quite positive and hopeful guy, maybe this book is good for you, because it's challenging, and you will have a lot to think about after you've read the book. So with that, I would also like to hear your views, your opinions about the book, and you can comment, of course. If you like this review, you can like and subscribe, of course. And until next time, have a nice day. Bye.